When we talk about continuity, we kind of want to picture a graph as, say, like a road. So if we have a road and here's my car, right, and it's trucking along, the things I don't want in a road, I don't want some weird hole in the road. I don't want to be missing a part. I don't want it to go from one end to the other like a cliff and then here goes my car just falling off to the other end. That's not going to work. The other thing I don't want is basically a road that if I want to get to this other side on the road, but all of a sudden my car just whips down or whips up and there's no way to actually cross over. Those are all ways of discontinuities. So things that we would write that as, or what we would say, is if we have a hole in our graph, so if there's an open hole that we can see that is not continuous, if there is a jump, right, where it's kind of like a cliff in a sense, or if there is a vertical asymptote. And an asymptote is something where a value can get super, super close to, but will never reach. So let's take a look at this graph right here. So I want to again think of it as a road, and so I'm going to be traveling up onto my road. And if I look at it, I'm going, going, but then there's a hole, right? So we have a hole right at this point right here. And we look at our x value, we can look at it as the hole as a point. So I see that it is -2 on the graph and it is +4 on the y. So my point at my hole is -2, 4. If I would ask for the discontinuities, I would say this graph is discontinuous at -2, 4. So this graph is discontinuous at the point -2, 4. But what if I don't have just a hole? What if I have something a little bit more? For example, what if I have on this graph, this is a piecewise graph, meaning there's multiple pieces of a graph together. So if I'm, again, I always travel left to right. I never go backwards, so my car is going to travel left to right. If I'm traveling from the left, I just kind of keep going down. Now, mind you, this part is continuous, but I can never jump over to the other side. So right here, what we would call is this red dotted line. I would say this right here is a vertical asymptote, right? And I have a vertical asymptote at your x value, so that's going to be x equals -2. So that's kind of the first discontinuity, meaning I can't jump over. I truly can't continue my road trip. I just kind of go down. So then, all right, so we say, all right, there's one discontinuity moving forward. So we kind of keep going, keep going, keep going up. We kind of reached our first hole. Our first hole appears to be at 1, -1. So our first hole discontinuity, and we'll just label it as a hole, is 1, -1. All right, that's fine. We have two discontinuities, one at x equals -2, one as a whole. And so I'm just going to be like, okay, that's great. I'm just going to keep trekking, and I just reached another one. This right here is what we would consider a jump, right? My car can't fly over and happen to get to the other side. So I would say because it's not one specific point, kind of like the vertical asymptote x value in a sense, I'm going to look at this and say, well, the x value at this jump is 2. So I would say we have a jump at x equals 2. So if I were to ask for the discontinuities for this whole entire piecewise graph, right, and I would say discontinuities would be at the vertical asymptote. So I would say discontinuities vertical, and I'll just label as VA asymptote at x equals -2. The second one I ran into, I have a hole at 1, -1, and then the last one I have a jump, okay, at x equals 2. So those would be all my discontinuities in the graph, and that's how you would label if something is continuous or basically not continuous where I have these breaks in the graph. And that's all you kind of need to do.